Welcome back to Today's Gardener. Today's episode, I'll be going over a couple of techniques I use to keep the weeds at bay in the garden. Stick around. It's a lot easier than you think. Alright, today I'm going to go over and talk about a couple of the tools I use in the garden on a bi-weekly basis to keep the weeds out of the garden. Everyone knows what a garden weasel is. I love this thing. I'm always removing whatever I need to do. I'm always adjusting it, customizing it to what I need to do. I don't necessarily use this for weeding. I use this to keep the ground from getting a thick crust on it. A couple weeks ago, we had a nice heavy rain. And now I have this crust on the surface. I use the garden weasel to break the crust apart so the water can still penetrate down to the roots where it needs to be instead of running off into the grass. This thing works great. If you have one, get it, dust it off, and start using it. Second tool I use is just your basic garden hoe. Everyone has one of these. I use it to, get around the base of the plant where I need to focus a nice sharp point. I get a lot done with this tool. I love it. If this thing breaks, I run out and I get another one right away. It's a must-have in my garden. The third tool I use, which is homemade, I've had this for several years. It's a stirrup hoe. This is really nice. It's wide. I get in between the plants. It has, these edges are sharp. They cut the roots of the weed, putting it out of commission. I like this stirrup hoe so much that I decided to build myself a double stirrup hoe. I use some piping from the hardware store. So I have two stirrups. The plant runs here and I weed each side of the plant at once. This is nice and heavy, so all I have to do is drag it. It does all the work. It makes really light work of getting these weeds out of commission so my plants get everything I feed them. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how I use these tools on this here pepper bed. It's a lot easier than you think. I have a lot of weeds. I planted these pepper plants 3 weeks ago and I haven't weeded it yet. I'm going to go ahead and use these 4 tools to weed this bed. And I think when I'm finished, you'll agree with me that these tools are a must-have in the garden. Let's get started. Another point I'd like to add is the time of day that I'm doing it. It's a pretty sunny day. I'm going to rip these weeds out. They're going to lay on the surface. The sun, I want the sun to dry them out. I don't want to do this before a rain or a cloudy day. I want to do it on a sunny day so the sun is beating on the roots of the weeds, getting rid of them. I don't want them to re-root and cause me problems down the future. I'm going to get started. I'm going to do this in real time. And for what might take one person 8 hours, is going to take me about 5 minutes. We'll see. Let's get started. One more thing I'd like to add is that these tools would work excellent on raised beds as well. They're not only for any specific gardener. If you have a garden, you can use these tools. Okay, the first tool I'm going to start off with is my double stirrup. It's nice and heavy. It's going to dig on in. All you got to do is drag it. Once I go that way, I cross up and I go in between the plants. Okay, I'm done with the double steropole. Next I'll be working on the single. With this one, I have better control over, I can get closer to the plants without destroying them. I'm still working at a great pace. I'll have this bed weeded in no time. And the single stirrup is finished. I saw a couple weeds closer to the stems. I'm going to go ahead and use this garden hoe to get around close, pick those weeds out. So, as a wrap up, with my 4 fantastic garden tools that I use on a yearly basis, I weeded the potatoes, I was able to weed the Brussels sprouts, the onions, some of the corn, there's more onions, the peppers, the second pepper bed, more Brussels sprouts, 4 heads of cabbage, this bed of sweet corn. This is a 75-day sweet corn. I was able to weed the peanuts. This is a 140-day peanut. They've been in the ground for about a month and a half. My white onions. I was able to weed my red onions. And finally, I finished up. I didn't need to weed my peas. I don't have any weed pressure right there for some reason, don't know why. But then I finished up with this 67-day sweet corn. It's looking good and weeded. All with my 4 fantastic garden tools. Without these tools, my garden would be an absolute mess. If you don't use these tools, if you don't use them this way, get those tools out. Give it a try. You won't regret it. I've been doing this for many years. My garden always looks great. I keep the weeds out of my garden. It roughly took me about an hour. By hand, I would have never gotten done. Try to use a bigger tool to just tear everything up. All right, out of the thousands of weeds I had in this pepper, Brussels sprout, and cabbage bed, I probably got about 98% of them. A couple will grow back. A couple new ones maybe I missed. When they get a little taller, I'll notice, and I'll easily be able to remove them with one of my tools, or just go ahead and pull it out of the ground with my hand. With these 4 tools, I easily, quickly satisfy my plants and myself, because no one likes to grow weeds. Get yourself a couple of minutes, a couple of garden tools, head out to the garden and take care of these weeds without bending over. Until next time on Today's Gardener, we'll see you. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe, share it with a friend, and have a great day. Thank you.